do to get some sunlight through there so the grass does grow.
Right.
So it turned out really well, I thought, so.
It did look good. Given the amount of rain we had last year, it's amazing how that turned out.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what they put on that, because man, I can never get grass to grow like that.
We just had the rain right, when we had the rain, it was hydro season.
Yeah, but I'm sprinkling mine every day. I can't get
Pass you by
splat.
a water bill.
Back to his question, in anticipation of losing some trees in the next couple, 3 years,
Yeah.
that is something that maybe you should keep a really good eye on and stay ahead of that.
All right.
Deciduous or evergreen or whatever, but like the ones out at that pumping station out there by Lampert's, those are our trees or those Rulons?
I believe they're ruins, aren't they, Jason? They were ours.
Yeah,
for a
they
little
probably
while.
don't want them anymore.
Yeah. They get too big to move.
Okay.
Well, I also know that when we did the bridge over to go out to the trailer park for the trail, the DNR had rules, if you took down one, you had to put like 3 or 4 in. That was their rules, because it was by the river or something like that, so it's, the one-on-one might always be the case.
Buffer strip.
And driving through Memorial Cemetery, those evergreens are beautiful, but man, they're getting up there in age, and that would be an unfortunate thing. I mean, that's the most beautiful part of that cemetery, I think, but, yeah. So, I think it's just something we need to be proactive with. but.
Exactly. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Scott?
Good afternoon. I'll go over, I just kind of picked out a few highlighted. This isn't everything that we do, but first thing is classes attended. I'm not gonna go through that, just kind of shows you what we do there. As Brad was talking, trees taken down, we did spend 118 hours taking trees and trimming trees at Memorial and Schaefer Park. About 56 loads were hauled to Killen's. We trimmed 66 trees and took 3 split trees down on the boulevard between 6th Avenue Southwest and 1st Avenue Southeast. We also took 28 trees down between curb and sidewalk for residents that were either dead or dangerous. That was 51 truck loads hauled. And then we took 31 trees down on city property, which includes parks, campgrounds, tree farm, and that was 52 loads hauled out to Killen's. Killen's grind all the stumps for us, and then what we do is we clean them out, refill them with dirt, and throw some grass seed in there. And then we also drive to town, and then we'll make a list of trees that are either overhanging the streets too low or the sidewalks, and we gave Greg a list of about 200 of those, and then he sends them out, and then he'll give us the final date, and we'll kind of go back and check them, and he kind of goes back and checks them too, so. Alleys, all the alleys were graded, and limestone was added to the alleys that needed it. The grass and twig site, we spent 52 hours hauling trees up to the burn hole. We spent about 102 hours out there pushing and cleaning the site up after a couple days it's open, and just during the week with the contractors hauling out there. Colbacks did get out there and grind all the compost, and they hauled that away. They also did grind all the trees and get those hauled away for us. Street repairs, hired out about $500,000 worth of street repairs and $76,000 worth of storm sewer repairs, junction boxes. In 2021, we did about $750,000 for street repairs. Hired out about $77,000 worth of crack sealing on the streets, working on the south end of town. That's about 160,000 feet of crack sealing. We put 56 ton of Iowa Class A quartzite on the Business 75 shoulders. And then out on 200th Street, south out by the water tower out there, that Class B road, we put about 250 ton of concrete crushings and 15 ton of 3-inch rock because of drainage issues out there. And then we hauled 36 ton of rock from LG Everest in Haywarden to the campground for the road out there. Potholes, the guys filled about 750 potholes. In 2021, we did about 1,700. So I think some of the street repairs are helping that we're focusing on. Street signs, we did 59 signs. And that includes like wood poles that were rotten, signs got hit, and signs that got put up in the new addition, and then vandalized signs, street signs. We added the 4 radar speed signs, and we added the 1 flashing crosswalk on Business 75. Snow, as you can see, we did have a little bit better year than 2021. We had 136 hours of plowing, salting, and hauling compared to 2021 when we had 651 hours of that. Last year we had 127 overtime hours. 2021 we had 270 hours. We hauled 50 loads of snow with the city trucks, and 28 loads were hauled by Kellens. Street painting, we painted all the crosswalks and handicap parking stalls with symbols. We painted center lines and bike paths on streets. And then storm sewer, we replaced 60 feet of 18-inch ADS sewer pipe that runs into the river that was damaged from erosion in the bank. That pipe flows about 300 gallons per minute from Wells South Ice Cream Plant. We backfilled the bank with broken concrete. And Goose Creek Detention Basin, we took the one on 6th Street there, and we doubled its size so we could take that one that was about 2,000 square feet out of the backyard of that homeowner. And just the different, how much pipe we put in up there. Regular maintenance of cleaning of storm drain and tiles, and then detention basins are checked and cleaned monthly. And then that miscellaneous, I ain't gonna go through that, just some of the stuff we do.
Where you do the grinding before the painting, is that paint lasting longer?
Yeah, yep, it helps. Gets it down, gives it a rough surface to stick to.
Painting the crosswalks with the stripes is way more visible.
It's a lot better, yeah. We've had a lot of comments on it. Takes a lot more time, but
I'm sure
it's better. Yep, it helps. Just one thing I want just to inform you guys that will be coming up probably for 2024-25 budget. It'll probably be coming up this summer, but I talked to Jason and Jacob, and they gave me the okay to hire Stanley Consultants, which is a traffic engineer. The traffic lights down here on First and Central, and Central, or First and Plymouth, Central, Plymouth, First and Central. Those light poles are pushing 50 years. The bases are rusting, the poles are rusting. The heads and the ped crossings are no longer made. We cannot get parts for them. So we're gonna have to do something with those coming up. Can we put new heads on? We can. You can't get the right size heads, so you'd have to re-drill holes and do everything, but the poles are bad shape. We do have some conduit that's broke underneath the street for us to pull wires across, so we're running into problems with that too. So we're gonna be looking at putting new poles, new signals, new wiring, and new conduit through the street. And then they would all be interconnect together too. They'd be wired together, so.
Are all those continued, I mean, is there any technology out there to start going to a Bluetooth type? And
Right.
get rid of all your hardwire and go solar?
No,
Really?
no.
Does the state participate in any of those repairs and replacements, because it's on highway?
There is no
You
funding,
need
so that is one thing through the state. The 2 traffic lights are not warranted on Plymouth Street. So, and there probably will not be any funding through that.
So on Highway 3, the state has no financial participation in those?
They're not, yes, because they're not warranted. There's
Yeah,
not
so what that
enough
means is the
documentation.
state doesn't think.
Recognize that they're needed.
Yeah.
Recognize that they're needed.
Yeah,
A lot of times that goes on crash data, but when you have stoplights, you don't have many crashes. Take them out, then they go, oh, well, maybe we should fund
I
some
mean,
lights.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's not gonna be any funding. They're probably gonna let us put them back in, but they would like to see them go.
So if the poles rot and fall over, they're gone, right? Or just
I know.
So
Would they help us at all with a traffic study, I mean, account?
we do
See
account,
if
we
even
got,
need one on First?
we
I
got,
guess we might.
Jason, we can pull that up underneath the Iowa Department of Transportation. I tried a few years ago to take one out by Sherwin-Williams because I thought it'd save the city cost, but yeah, that did not go very well.
No, we got a lot of pushback from that.
Because before, that'd be, I think, 2016 or 17, because this one has new equipment. The controllers are new in 2015, the other two I think I did in 2017, and before spending all that money, I thought, hey, I'm gonna bring this up, maybe this is a better option. Instead of having the two stoplights where you're stopping within one block, would it be better to have one stoplight?
But
But
it'd be worth looking at the count, you know, I mean.
there is a count out.
Things change.
There is a count out
Yeah.
there. They got it documented on the Iowa Department of Transportation's website. You can see all the counts.
So you ordered a traffic study? Or
Yes.
you're in the process?
I just got my report back on it.
That'd be good to look at.
I think so too.
If it isn't a whole lot more cost, I'd like to have you look into those ones that have the countdown timer too, so people have a.
That would be-
barreling through in their semis can know there's 3 seconds left before it's gonna change. And,
That would be upgraded to the countdown
yeah.
pedestrian signs, yep. So,
Thank you.
just wanted to let you know that'll be coming.
So you are in favor
Idea on cost?
I would too.
About 700,000.
But I'm, purple,
No, per intersect, no, for all 3 intersections, about 700,000.
thank you.
Because right now, the footings that are in the ground are only 6 feet deep. SUDAS requires 13 feet, so you'd have to tear all the footings out. The state won't let you put new poles on these footings because it's in there right away, so they would have to be put up to SUDAS specs.
Same. I would agree with Cliff on that one.
We're getting a lot more in favor of it all the time. Where are we, okay, and you can help here, have we gone any further into the 5-way intersection and looking at the elimination of one of those? Down, no? Okay.
No, it was discussion at those meetings out there for our plan.
Okay.
Right, we deferred that to have it be part of the community
And
development.
it'll be part of discussion when we have the public meetings too.
Okay.
I would just add also, it's been pointed out to me, the stop sign by the mayor's house is really faded, like super faded.
That is private.
That's a
Doesn't
private,
belong
that's
to
a
the-
private stop sign, that's.
Yeah, okay.
Ours, it would never happen that way.
I got you.
It doesn't belong to me
I've done my
either.
job, I've reported,
It's-
but I
it's-
still report.
It's the development people back there that need to put that up.
Okay.
I do know that that was a private sign.
Okay?
I
Thank you.
sometimes stop at it, sometimes not.
It's faded, you can't.
That's a good question. Is it enforceable if they don't? I don't know, Kevin. If they don't
Do I have
stop,
to
stop, is it enforceable?
Well, I was gonna say, we do have some signs that have not been claimed, so you could probably just stop by, Mayor, and we'll give you one.
Oh, well, that's not it, so.
You didn't answer the question.
Would it be
Do I have to
enforceable if
stop?
they didn't stop at it because it's a private?
Yeah, possibly.
Is it in the ordinance?
You still have to yield entering a through roadway.
Okay.
But not completely stop.
Touch and go.
Chief. Mayor, City Council, I'm Kevin Vanderbeck, Chief of Police, and this is my 2022 annual report. As you can see, it's 10 pages long, so I'm not going to cover everything. I'll hit some highlights, and if you have questions, please ask. On page 2, you'll see the current staffing. There has been some changes since then. Officer Magana has left our department for a position with Iowa State Patrol. I'd like to note on the officers itself, we have 194 years of combined service to the city, and the top half of that equates to 160 years, and the bottom half equates to 34 years. So we've had some turnover because of retirements and just others leaving the department, but I'm pretty happy about the officers that we've been able to obtain the past couple of years. Going on to page 3, I'm just going to hit some highlights. Our officers patrol 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. That equates to roughly 2,500 shifts a year, covered by 15 officers. We patrol about 500 miles per day, which equates to roughly 160,000 miles traveled on city streets throughout the year. I will note that Sergeant Lenny Flack retired after 27 years of service to the city this year. And phase 2 was completed in late July, and that training room has been used frequently since. I think just February, March, and April alone, I think that room is reserved at least 15 days of those 3 months. So we're really using that room. On some of the budgets and grants and funding, we did obtain a $250,000 grant this year for hiring 2 officers. Our school resource, we are in our 4th year of that. And next year, that position should be about 65% funded because of additional funding that is going to the community school district. This year, I did transfer all of our canine and DARE donations, which were held by our police association. I talked to Jacob. We felt that it would be more fitting, since it's the large amount of dollars that were donated to us. If we would transfer that to the city on an accounting standpoint alone, I felt more comfortable with that kind of money sitting at City Hall. On a statistical overview, our calls, our incidents, our accidents and traffic stops and arrests are up since the prior year in 2021. There were roughly 1,222 complaints investigated by officers in 2022. Those are the calls that take up a lot of time. Those are the ones that require lengthy investigations, and we're kind of ties up our resources. Roughly 2,900 vehicle stops last year, and 80% of those were issued a warning. Page 4, I just want to touch on a couple of our community outreach projects. 2 that I want to note are our Citizens Academy and our Junior Academy. They're well attended. A couple of the council persons went through it this year, and we partnered with the Plymouth County Sheriff's Office to do those, and they're working out extremely well. I'll also note that this is our first year of teaching the criminal justice program at the community high school, and both students from the high school and Galen Catholic are attending those classes.
I'd jump in and encourage anyone who didn't go through the academy to do it. I've never served the mayor. It's really worth your time.
Do you get tased?
You do not get tased.
As much as I had a person sitting next to me who begged to be tased, they won't let me. So,
Okay.
but you do get to watch officers get tased as part of their certification course, so that's kind of interesting.
We will do that. We no longer tase students. We had a bad situation. So. Some of my goals for 2023, I'm pretty excited about the Midwest Canine Trials coming to Lamar's. This is going to be really a neat deal for the community. There's going to be 50 to 70 teams throughout the Midwest, Nebraska, Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, I think even into Missouri, that come to Lamar's. We're really going to make this a community event. We'll broadcast and let everybody know where the events are taking place. The public can actually come in and watch this, so it's going to be really, really neat and unique, I think.
Is that like what I've seen on TV when they sniffing for packages and those types
Correct.
of things?
Yeah, so there's different stages of that. Some of it will be searching for objects, some of it's searching for persons, some of it's going to be criminal apprehension where the dog is actually going to take down an individual. Mayor, you can volunteer for that if you'd like.
Give it a try. The obstacle course, the run.
The obstacle course and all of that, yeah.
Where is that going to be held?
A combination of some city property, and we are looking into some large fields, and we're hoping either community or Galen property. But we're in the works, kind of working that all out.
Early August, late August?
Late August.
I was going to ask that.
Page 5 kind of covers all of our training that we do throughout the year. I'll just note that we're required to put in about 40 hours of training a year in the officers individually each put at least 100 hours of training in. We really try to hit all of the mandatory topics, obviously, but we try to be ahead of the game a little bit and hit some topics that we think are beneficial to the officers. On page 6, it kind of breaks down the calls for services and the incidences, and that kind of gives you an overview of all of the calls for service. A new category I add this year, just because I figured out I had the capability in the software, was to kind of show you what times of day we're most active. So the busiest time of the day that we have is from noon until 6 p.m., followed by 6 p.m. until midnight, with some peaks throughout the day. Our peaks throughout the day are 8 a.m. until 9 a.m., noon to 1, 3 to 5, and midnight till 1 in the morning. Our peak times are really tied to shift changes in our community. Shift changes in school. That's when our peak times of service are. Continuing on page 7, it kind of gives a breakdown of the calls for service. And then also this year I added our incidents and calls by day a week. I wasn't surprised when I plugged this stuff in because I figured it was going to be the same as fire. What's your busiest day of fire?
Wednesday.
Is Wednesday. Followed by Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday, and then Sunday, and our least active day is Saturday. Now it's a little bit deceiving. So we have more calls during Wednesday, but the calls on a Saturday might actually take you more time.
Sure.
So it's a little bit deceiving, but actual calls for service, our busiest is during the week. Page 8, accidents are pretty much status quo for this year as they have been in the past. Citations are up a bit, arrests are up a little bit. On page 9, I did add a couple of things. Each of you may have had an opportunity to do a tour of the building and look at our property room. And as big as the room is, it's pretty much full. And the reason is we took in 900 pieces of evidence last year that were booked into our property room.